Welcome to the next episode of Riding the Wall podcast. I'm Chad.
And I'm Justin.
And
We're right back with some right in your face information.
That's right. And we got a lot this week. We've got a lot from Charlotte. Did you have a good week?
I did.
Yeah?
I did. It wasn't. It was a busy week. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Like I said, shit ain't slowed down any.
Yeah. Same here. I was kind of proud of myself. I went out this morning. I had this mole in the backyard, right? And moles just piss me off.
Right. Anything messing with my yard pisses
Yes.
me off. I think we're at that age.
Yeah, we're at that age. We've graduated to the old man get off my yard type thing.
Yeah. Reese even asked the other day. She's like, "When are you gonna get the stay off my lawn signs to put out, Justin?" I'm like, "Well, it won't be long."
I've actually had one of those in my yard. I had a neighbor that kept bringing their dog over to do its business in my yard. They would pick up the dog, carry it to the street, let it down, and it walked straight across the street into my yard to do its business. Pissed me off. Oh man, I've been mad in my day, but after seeing that a few times, so I had to get a sign with a little dog on it, a little circle that says no pooping, no pee, and all that stuff. And they seen the sign, and it hasn't happened since. So I have been to that point.
You ain't had to whip nobody's ass then.
Not yet. This was a woman, and now I'm not a big guy, but I still think I can hold my own against most people. But this woman, she kind of scares me.
Yeah.
She makes me nervous.
Well, I mean, instead of, obviously you don't ever put your hands on a woman, but
right.
maybe next time if it happens again.
Thumb to the eyes are okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think I would say it's going to look funny, but have Jess or Eric or somebody carry you to the road, set you down in the road, walk into her yard, and take a shit.
Yeah.
Like a big old human shit right there in her yard.
Well, I'm not beneath that, right? Yeah. But anyway, I had the mole in the backyard, and I don't really care about the backyard yet. I've got a lot of work that I'm going to do back there next year to get that where I want it. So for right now, this mole wasn't bothering me too bad, but it got out of control. I said, all right, that's enough. He's got to go. So I went out there and I got the mole today. So I'm undefeated with these moles. I'm 4-0.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not easy to do, but
no, it is
you got to be very patient. But I got him. I turned him loose. I didn't kill him. That used to be the
Use a mole trap, or how'd you do it?
I just plucked him up out of the ground.
Yeah.
I go with the water hose,
flood
him out, get him moving so I can see where he's at, and I just pluck him up out of the ground. And I have to relocate because...
You take him to the neighbor's yard?
Yeah, I chuck him about 2 yards down. No, I take him somewhere where he can be in the woods, because my daughter is very much on the animal loving side. Even if it's a mole, you can't exterminate it, right? So
yeah, can't cook them, can't exterminate them.
Yeah, they don't eat very well.
No.
So, but I did that. So my day's complete. So let's get into this. We've got a lot to cover. And I'm going to tell you right now, people out there listening to this are probably not going to like my take, because I'm probably going to draw a little bit of heat.
Where are we starting with? Chase Elliott?
Let's back up before that. Let's start with Ryan Blaney. Okay, I want to give this guy his props, because I'm not a Ryan Blaney fan. I don't have anything against him. I don't pull for him, but I definitely don't root against him, because when I was racing the number 12. He's in the number 12, albeit it's a Ford. I think that's what's holding him back. But I know you're not going to see things that way.
Did I call it or not? On a Chevrolet track.
Yeah,
that makes me 4 for 4.
You did.
I told you a Ford would win this.
And so for it to be Blaney, he was strong all day.
Yeah,
I mean, from the green flag, he was just strong. And but he ran a good race, clean race.
Smart race.
Very smart race. That's what I was going to say. He did exactly what he needed to do to win this thing. And I applaud him for that. I like to see Ryan Blaney do good, no matter what track or anything like that. I like to see him do pretty good. But his post-race interview is what got me, and I don't know if you've seen it or heard it, but it was one of them feel-good moments. I think that
Talking about when he got out to get the checker flag and everything?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I watched that.
Okay, so I think if there's a feel-good moment for the year so far, of everything that's happened this year in NASCAR, I think this is the feel-good moment, was Blaney winning this in his interview, just because you could see the emotion on his face when he climbed out. He was just excited, happy, as he should be.
Yeah. Damn near teary-eyed.
Yes, well, he got that way at the end, yeah, so you could see the emotion of happiness and relief that winless streak is over, that everybody's talking about. When you going to win again? All that monkey is off his back now. So you could see that happiness, joy, and relief. And then halfway through the interview, the fans start chanting his name, Blaney. And how many times do you see that at a NASCAR race?
Right.
You know, that don't happen. So that was good to see. That was awesome. And then to see him get choked up, get teary-eyed. You could hear the emotion in his voice. You could almost see that moment was starting to hit him, and that relief was just overwhelming. And so that was pretty good to see.
And but you know what? I mean, that was his first win in 56 or 59 races, something like that, you know. And he went up to get the checkered flag, and once he got the checkered flag, he went into the crowd and gave it to a young fan. Yeah. You know, I mean, that just tells you what kind of guy this young man is. Yeah. I mean, I know it kick-started with the Indy 500 earlier that day. You know, the Penske driver that won, you know, Penske was 2 for 2 that day. That's never happened. And, you know, an owner winning the 2 biggest races of the year pretty much, you know. Yeah. I mean, same day races anyhow. But, you know, I mean, that flag had to mean a lot to him because, like you said, it was that monkey off his back. And he was emotional at that time, but he gave that flag to a young fan, and I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So those kind of moments like that, even if I'm not a fan of that driver, is pretty good to see.
They're meaningful.
You know? Yeah, very much meaningful. And I hope, I was pulling for Ryan Blaney last year to get a win, and I hope he gets a few more just to make him feel better about himself, because, I mean, you got to think about it. He's at the top level of that sport, and it's got to take a toll to have a winless streak like that. Even though everybody says don't let it get you down, keep on going, you have to, but you look at it from his perspective, all these, whatever series he was in to make it to this point, he's dominated, right? That's just about every driver out there at this level of the NASCAR. They've dominated everything that they've been in coming up to this level. So now, all of a sudden, you start going winless. Even if you finish second every week, it's still got to put some doubt in your head of, you know, these bad breaks just aren't going my way, or the car wasn't good enough today.
Well, and a lot of times, those, you know, 56 races that he went without winning, you know, these guys are at the top of their sport, like you said, but they start doubting themselves.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably where he's going with it.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on them because they start to doubt themselves. Am I good enough? Should I have this ride?
Right.
You know, I'm sorry, Roger. You know, I couldn't do it this week. Or I'm sorry, Smoke. Just didn't have the car.
And for a while, I would say, because I've never been at that level, obviously, I would say there for the beginning of that winless streak, you know, you probably put a lot of it on the car, you put a lot of it on bad breaks, but then as that winless streak gets bigger, then you start to look at yourself, and then that's when that doubting starts coming in. That's when it really starts, you kicking yourself in the nuts over nothing, really. Because
am I putting enough time in? You know, I mean,
yes.
I don't think sitting behind these, what's those where they practice at? Simulators. I don't think sitting behind them simulators do a whole lot of good. I'm not going to say get away from them, but nothing beats track time.
Right.
You know, period. And, you know, we had guys in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that did really well that simulators didn't even exist. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was a different sport at that time, you know, different rules, different regulations and so on. But I don't think it's so much of I need to spend more time on the simulator or anything like that. It's just you got a lot more even field than we've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean anybody can go out there and win.
And yeah, to touch on that, we've got an even field as far as talent, and then this new car just evens it out even more. So that definitely puts the frustration factor on these drivers to an all new level. But we got more to touch on. I just wanted to touch on this.
That was an awesome moment. I was glad to see. And his dad, Dave Blaney. I mean, he was a sprint champion. Made it into the NASCAR. It may have been Winston Cup at the time. I don't know, but he was in there in the early 2000s and everything like that. But I think Ryan's already got more NASCAR Cup Series wins than his dad.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got a bright, brilliant future ahead of him. I mean, he's a outstanding driver.
Oh yeah,
outstanding athlete. He's somebody obviously that the fans love. Like you mentioned, they were cheering his name. You never see that.
And he seems like a good kid. I mean, he's 29 years old, so he's got a lot more years of this to go as long as he wants to do it. But he just seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. So, and that's easy to root for. So,
and he's got a I mean, he was teammates with Brad Keselowski and still teammates with Joey Logano to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Brad. I'm not a huge fan of Joey, but I respect the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got two very good mentors right above him. That.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. I mean, he's got some pretty good talent around him.
And they're both champions.
Right.
So, he's learning from championship level drivers that have been there before. So, I just wanted to make sure that of all the bad that we're getting ready to talk about, I just wanted to touch on the good that came out of that and how awesome it was. So hopefully, and I'm sure Ryan Blaney's listening to this,
right.
A good friend of the show. So
we talked this morning. He mentioned he was just getting up, moving around. So I told him it'd be posted.
Yeah.
Later today. Today it's Friday. We're doing it on Friday this week.
Right. So I just wanted to say, good job to Ryan. Keep it up. Keep your head up. And I'm sure this win's going to put that little bounce in a step again.
Well, and I think you'll see more wins come real close behind it because now that he does have that monkey off his back, now he can go out there and drive without that pressure. He's in the chase.
Right.
And, I mean, guy could win it all.
Yeah. Yeah, he very well could. And I think he's pretty good at Phoenix, too. So, I have a few things wrote down. I know we're always unscripted, but I just had a few touching points here to talk about. I want to go into Briscoe next.
Okay.
So, I know Briscoe's your boy. It's your favorite driver, and,
well,
I get that.
Harvick.
Well, yeah, he's...
But it's his last year.
Right.
I mean, I'm a Harvick, Briscoe, and Blaney guy. Mm-hmm. I'm obviously a Ford man, so
yeah,
I'm going to stick with my Ford fellas.
But Briscoe this week, I don't know if... I'm sure you've heard about it and everything involved with it, but he was assessed a level 3 penalty.
Yeah, he got hammered.
He did. And a level 3, I have right here in front of me. A level 3 penalty is for any of these incidents: counterfeiting or modifying a next-gen single-source vendor-supplied parts and or assemblies. I'm reading this straight off of NASCAR.com. All right. Engine infractions, not meeting the rules. Engine performance enhancements. You can't be doing any performance enhancements. There's only one place that's allowed.
Right.
Yeah, and we're not going to talk about that. But altering, modifying tires and or fuel. Violating the vehicle testing policy. So one or all of those would result in a level 3 penalty, and that's what he got, was the first one for counterfeiting or modifying a supplied part. I don't know what part that was, but apparently, from what I'm hearing, they tried to make it look like a vendor supplied part, which common sense would tell me that they knew it was bad going in the car and they just tried to get away with it, but they got busted.
Right, but did Chase Briscoe know?
Probably not. At
that's the thing.
At that level, these drivers probably don't know what's in their car. And sometimes, and I don't know if this is what happened here, and I'm going to say it probably wasn't, but sometimes a crew chief will tell a driver, hey, this is in the car, it's bad, so you might not want to win it. You might want to finish like 5th or something, just so we don't get checked on. But I don't know what. Well, I mean, it wasn't
whatever they did. It didn't help him any.
No, it didn't help him.
I mean, it's.
I think he was one of the first ones out of the race, wasn't he?
No.
Where did he finish?
He was first one a lap down.
That could be what I'm thinking of.
But I used him in our fantasy league, and I think I got like. I didn't even check, to be honest. I think he got 16th, 17th.
That sounds about right. I don't remember. I don't have the results right in front of me, but that sounds about right.
But you know, if I was a driver, especially at that level, at any level, I would want to know if I had something in my car that may get questioned. I would want my crew chief and my team to say, you know, because I'm part of the team too. You know what I'm saying? I want input.
Yeah.
And you know, it's you have what he got hit with in front of you as far as money and points, and I know it was steep. It was crazy amount, but
yeah, it was crazy amount. 25 playoff points for him, 120 points for both him and owner points.
Manufacturer points.
Yes, and $250,000 fine to the crew chief, and the crew chief got suspended for 6 races, which put him, after this penalty, put him in 31st in the point standings. He was right around the bubble, right around 15, 16, something like that. Put him all the way, dropped him 15 spots or so to 31st.
Right. Now, see, if I was, and I know Smoke is out there, you know, doing his top fuel thing and everything like that, and he should be able to do that. This Stewart Haas Racing has been built to a level that he shouldn't have to be there every week.
Right.
You know, he shouldn't have to be in that garage every week. But it sounds like Smoke needs to take a walk up in that place and get some shit straight. Yeah. You know, because if that's my money and my reputation, you know, maybe Smoke signed off on it. I don't know. I ain't talked to him this week, but you know, it's one of them things. If I'd be going in there and I'd be making an example out of a few people,
yeah,
right at the top, and
yeah,
that shit wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, at least these fines didn't come out of Smoke's pocket. Like the Louver gate earlier came out of Hendricks, came out of Rick's pocket. This one's coming out of those involved.
Right, exactly. But they're also heading down the wrong path. You know what I'm saying? I mean, never quit trying.
Yeah.
You know, but when it comes to counterfeiting a next gen part, I mean, you're taking some big risk, and you should have enough confidence in your drivers that you're paying on a salary, that they should be able to go out there with the same parts. You know, find another way. You know, I mean, I can't believe they even pulled Briscoe's car. You know,
right?
Because he was, you know, I mean, he was never up. He was. I don't even think, other than during cautions, green flag cautions, he was ever in the top 10.
I don't think so.
You know, so.
I think it was just one of them random
green flag pit stops. I'm sorry, I didn't mean green flag cautions.
Yeah.
Those don't exist yet.
Not yet.
But green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and to their defense, I will say, you know, we don't know what all happened here. I mean, they could have been doing something, just researching these parts, and they had a test part just laying around that was never intended to go in the car. Maybe they were looking at ways to improve things, and somebody just happened to grab it and throw it in the car.
Well, maybe they had finagled with the internals of this next gen part. You know, it looked the same from the outside, but maybe they adjusted the internals.
Because as far as I know, they haven't said what part it was. And in the past, after this whole Louver gate, NASCAR said, and they made some changes to the rules to where they're going to start displaying these parts so these other teams can see exactly what not to do. So that'll be interesting. But as far as all that goes, you know, a lot of people say, oh, he's cheating, blah, blah, blah. I don't look into it that way. I call it creative engineering, and I think it's very much it's a part of the sport.
Let's look at it like this. If he was cheating, he would have finished a lot better than he did.
Yeah. I mean,
he never got caught in a wreck.
Exactly.
So it wasn't aero issues or nothing like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He just had a bad car.
Yeah. So, and that's the whole, you know, what some people call cheating has always been part of the sport. It's just looking for that advantage, and we've talked about this in the past. You know, it's always been part of the sport, and it doesn't affect my opinion on a driver or a team or a manufacturer one way or the other if people or teams get caught doing this kind of thing. It's just part of the game, So, and that's how we make these cars faster. It's how we make them safer. It's how we improve the sport by taking what we currently have and looking for ways to improve it, right? So that's the only way to grow. But sometimes you get caught, and the bad part is if you put a part like that in a car, you have to know that there is a chance that you can get caught, and you have to know the punishment for that. And they're not appealing this, so
yeah, it is
so
what it is.
They know what happened. They understand it. They know the rules, and they know the game that they're playing. It just so happened their hand got smacked this time. So hopefully they learn from it, and I'm sure they will. Money talks, points talk.
So that's one chase issue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump on to the next.
You ready to get into the good one?
I am. Now, Chase Elliott got forced high on the wall.
Yes.
By Denny Hamlin during this race, and after coming off the wall, Chase was on the outside, Hamlin was on the inside, and it did look very intentional. Chase made a pretty obvious hard left jerk of the wheel and hooked the back right corner of Hamlin, which sent Hamlin into the wall and totally annihilated his car.
Mm-hmm.
It took him out. Complete front end smash.
Oh, yeah. There's a head-on into the wall.
And I was watching the race, and did you see it as well? Like the in-car camera of Denny Hamlin, how hard that jarred him. I mean, I'm more of a Chase Elliott fan than I am a Denny Hamlin fan, but that was a very stupid move if it was intentional. I mean, they're saying it was. I mean, as soon as it happened, Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart, and all them guys were in the booth, and Mike Joy, and I mean they all immediately said, "Oh, that was intentional." I mean, them guys know. Mm-hmm. Now, was it or not? It's not for me to say, but it did look.
I'm going to say it was, and I'll give you my reasons for that after you're done.
It did look that way, but after the accident, after they got the track cleared, and Chase came out of the medical tent, they stopped him immediately and said, people are saying intentional, and he said, oh, no, absolutely not. He said, when you get
I believe he said, unfortunately, no.
Right, he did. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no, it wasn't intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But, that could have been part of why they're calling it intentional anyway, because he did say, unfortunately, no. I mean, so that right there lets them know that I would love to be the one to wreck him, but I didn't this time.
Yeah.
But he says it wasn't intentional, but it did look pretty intentional.
Here's my thoughts on it.
From a spectator's.
Yeah. Here's my thoughts on it. And I view Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin kind of in the same perspective in my mind. They're both great drivers. Neither one of them are my favorites. I don't root against them. I don't really root for them. So
I'm right there too.
So they're just kind of one of the many drivers that are just out there.
They're both Hall of
Famers.
Mind.
Yes. But what happened? Now let's look back on this. Last year, and we go back to this a lot. Bubba and Kyle Larson at Vegas. Larson came up. He was on the inside of a 1.5 mile track at the dogleg. He come up. Bubba thought he was going to hit him. Bubba thought Larson was going to hit him, so he quickly swerved to the right, put himself into the wall, got pissed off, chased Larson down the track, hit him in the right rear. He gets suspended for a race, right? And NASCAR said, hooking someone in the right rear is not going to be tolerated at any track, any time, no matter who does it. You're getting suspended for a week. Now that suspension was not enough for Bubba just because of all the other things that he did.
Right.
But we fast forward to Ross Chastain and Noah Gragson earlier this year, where the same exact scenario happened. We have Ross on the inside, Noah Gragson on the outside. Ross runs up the track. He doesn't hit Noah, but he don't give him much room. Noah, same thing as Bubba. He swerves over, hits the wall, puts himself in the wall, gets pissed off. He chases Ross down the track. He couldn't get to him. But his intention, I think, had he got to him, was to hit him in that right rear. He just didn't make it there, and that turns into the fist getting thrown at after the race. So that was the second incident of the same thing. Now we fast forward to this one. You got a third incident. Hamlin on the inside, Elliott on the outside. The only difference is Hamlin did hit Elliott before Elliott hit the wall.
Right.
Now, I think that was as they were coming out of 4, and I'm just going off of memory here. I think coming out of 4 is where they made the contact.
Well, that wall comes back in right there.
Yes.
Right. So.
That is a very tight turn 4 going into the dogleg at Charlotte is tighter than some of the other mile-and-a-half tracks, but they did make contact, whereas the other 2 incidences they didn't. This one, Hamlin did make contact. You could see the flames coming out of his exhaust where he was lifting off the gas.
Yep, he let off.
Now, I believe, and I haven't seen the aerial view, but I believe right before Elliott hit the wall, there was no contact. I think he did squeeze him up in there pretty hard. I don't think Elliott really had any other options, but there was no contact until Elliott hit the wall. Elliott, like most drivers, got pissed off, felt he done wrong. So he bounces off the wall, and if you watch his car after he bounces off the wall, he keeps it straight for a second.
Yep.
He keeps it off of him. And then all of a sudden, a hard left into Denny. Now, I'm not going to bash Elliott for making a mistake. He lost his cool. All drivers at every level is capable of losing their cool. It doesn't matter who you are.
And it's split second thinking,
Yes.
So.
We're talking in the neighborhood of 200 miles an hour. Bad things happen quickly, and everyone is prone to making a bad mistake that they would regret 30 seconds later. I went on here 2 weeks ago and I told the same story of I did the same thing. I was trying to right hook a guy. Now looking back on it, 2 minutes after it was over, I realized I made a mistake. And that's just not like me. And this is something that is just normally it's not like a Chase Elliott, but he did do it.
Well, I mean,
and it's against the rules, and NASCAR made it clear last year.
Yep. But Hamlin and Chase being 2 of the fan favorites, I'll say. This goes back 4 or 5 years ago, if you remember at Bristol, when Chase chased down Hamlin after the race was over on the track, and they were parked. He ran up on his ass end, and they got out of the car and was squabbling right there. They wasn't throwing hands or nothing, but you could tell Chase was pretty upset with Denny Hamlin, and that goes back 4 or 5 years.
Hold on, where are you talking?
Bristol.
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago when Hamlin had done, I can't remember even what it was, but Hamlin had done something. Chase dumped him or something.
Yeah.
There at the end, and pissed Chase off. Chase, races over. Chase flies up behind Hamlin. They stop on the track, get out, and they're squabbling at each other. So I mean, it's a long history with them two.
Right.
But it does always seem like, and I'm not saying this is a fact or nothing, but it does always seem like Denny Hamlin's involved in in the drama.
It does. It does, and some of that is he puts himself there, and sometimes the drama finds him, and it's it's just like everybody. Half the time you're minding your own business and shit comes to you, and half the time you start the shit. So. Well,
I mean, I think you kind of got those. You got those guys that have been there. That's still out there on the track. You got your Kevin Harvicks and your Kozlowski and maybe even Martin Truex. Those guys that were taught by the generation before them on driver etiquette.
Right.
And then you've got this younger group out here now, the Chase Elliott and the Ross Chastains and Noah Graysons and, that era of drivers, or that generation of drivers. But I think Denny Hamlin kind of falls right in the middle of those. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of that one driver. Maybe throw Logano in there too. That's kind of riding that saddle between the old way and the new way. These guys are thinking,
Yeah.
So maybe that has something to do with it too.
It could be. It could be. But with this one, I think when we look back, we go back to the Larson and Bubba incident. You got Larson, who is in that scenario the fan favorite, and Bubba is the one that
not
the
the crowd
fans
favorite.
right. He's not the fan favorite. So it was easy to throw shade at Bubba in that sense in that incident. But in this one, it's exact opposite. You got the fan favorite who did something wrong, and the one that is not the fan favorite who was actually the more aggressive, but really didn't do anything wrong, right? Maybe he was a little over aggressive, but so now we get to the post race interview, to where Denny was very. Hold on, let's back up a little bit before that. So after Denny goes head on into the wall, Chase Elliott continues to drive this car straight as an arrow all the way back to his pits. He's going down the back stretch straight.
Not even a broken toe link.
No. His tires did not have any air out of them. He was driving this car just fine, right? He said he had no brakes, but he didn't say anything about the steering. And I didn't see him stop in his pit stall, but I'm sure he was able to stop in his pit stall.
There's a lot of reasons that certain drivers wear black racing gloves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think they all learned from Carl.
Right.
You can't do that where they can see, because I even rewound it to see if I could see his gloves.
You
Turn
can't see
left.
his gloves.
No, you couldn't see them. That's smart on his part.
Right.
But so I just wanted to throw that in there. He was driving that car perfectly straight around that track after the incident. So fast forward to these two guys getting out of the care center, and they're giving their interviews, and Denny Hamlin was pretty pissed off, like he should be. And he even said he should be parked. He should not be racing next week. He was very adamant, very vocal about what he thought. And I don't see anything wrong with what Denny said. No. I don't disagree at all.
No.
At all. And I've found myself agreeing with Denny Hamlin quite often these days. I mean, as far as his way of thinking. Maybe not his actions, but his way of thinking. I agree with it. So we get done with Denny, and we're talking to Chase Elliott after the race, after he gets out of the care center. And they ask him, there's already talk of that being intentional. Is that the case? And he's like, what? I couldn't hear you. Okay, I don't believe that for a second, because he heard the first question just fine. But
well, that's just him being politically smart.
Right, he did the smart thing. You don't admit it. I mean, he
Right.
learned from Denny. You don't admit to doing that. But he said, once these cars, once you hit the right side, you can't drive them anymore, and they're just basically junk, to sum up what he said. But unfortunately, no, he didn't do that on purpose. Now, that sounds a lot like Bubba Wallace's interview after he hit Larson, right? He's saying that he didn't have no brakes, he didn't have no steering, he didn't have all this. So I'm just making these comparisons from one person that did this incident that was not the fan favorite a year ago, and now we have this fan favorite who did the exact same thing, to on-track actions to interview actions, did the exact same thing. Last year, so many fans were calling for Bubba to be suspended for numerous races, and then they were calling for him to be run out of NASCAR for lying in his interview. I mean, they were just going after this guy with pitchforks, ready to go. The worst thing to ever happen to NASCAR is what Bubba Wallace did to Kyle Larson, and then his interview after that was just ridiculous and uncalled for, and he should be gone.
You're
right?
Quoting. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's so many people saying this. And I just kind of rolled my eyes about that, because, yes, what he did was wrong, but not to that level.
It happens.
Yes. And so now we fast forward to this past weekend. Chase Elliott does the same exact thing, right? Hooks somebody, and then he comes back and says, oh, no, just couldn't drive the car after that. And everybody's like, why are you suspending this guy?
Yeah.
He just lied in his interview, just like you crucified Bubba Wallace for. He just did the same thing, but you don't see it as the same thing.
Right.
That is the hypocrisy of these Chase Elliott fans.
Unfortunately, the difference between the two is their skin color, and I think that's why so many people were crucifying Bubba Wallace over his actions.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So, that ain't right. I mean, driver ability is driver ability. Period. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and it don't matter if it's your guy or not. I mean, I was pretty pissed last year when, I had used, I think, Kyle Busch in our fantasy league, and him and Denny Hamlin finished first and second, and they both got nailed with cheating violation, or whatever you want.
Yeah, they altered the body in some way.
Right,
They just had a piece of tape.
The wrap or a piece of tape was.
Yeah, a little 1-inch piece of tape under the wrap got them in.
So, a lot of people were screaming cheater, cheater, and this and that. And, I mean, the only two cars that were done that way got first and second. Yeah. So I was pretty upset for my fantasy reasons, but not for driver reasons. But here this week, you got one of my guys, one of my three, Chase Briscoe, got nailed for something, and I stand behind NASCAR on that, and it sucks because he's one of my guys.
Yeah,
know?
Because it's right there in black and white.
Right.
It's written down. You don't mess with this, and they messed with that, and they got the penalty that it called for.
So I mean, I'm all about practice what you preach and everything else, and that goes for NASCAR fans too. You know? Not just those people out there doing their job.
Right. I mean, they need to really take a close look at what happened because they're blaming, they're even blaming Brad Keselowski for hitting him from behind. It's like,
Brad
people don't understand what 180 miles an hour feels like. They don't understand how quickly things can happen at those speeds and how little time you have to react to anything. It's in no way, shape, or form Brad Keselowski's fault. He made an evasive maneuver, about put himself into the infield grass to get away from that. But kudos to him for getting away from it. But
it had to be somebody with that kind of experience to get away from it. You know what I'm saying? If it had been
had that been like a younger guy, like let's say a Justin Haley, somebody like that, they might have been caught up right in it. Yeah, Ty Gibbs. So. But I'm not done with Chase Elliott yet, so.
I'm not either.
So, the next thing I want to touch on is I think NASCAR got the penalty right by suspending him. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that, but I don't care. They got it right by suspending him, but they didn't get it 100% right.
Right, and that's what this podcast is about: being honest.
Yep.
No matter if it's one of your guys or not. We're here to be honest.
If we draw heat, that's fine with us.
We've had it before.
Plenty of time, so bring it on. I don't care. But I'm going to finish this off by saying that NASCAR only got it half right because what was the penalty for when Denny Hamlin put Ross Chastain in the wall? All he did was door to door, pinned him against the wall. He didn't right hook him. He didn't just.
They both were able to finish the race.
Yes. And they penalized him basically for admitting that he wrecked him on purpose. But by the rule, they penalized him for altering the outcome of an event.
Yep.
Right? So is that not what Chase Elliott did right here?
$50,000 is what Denny Hamlin got hit with,
right.
Personally.
So, and now he didn't admit, Chase Elliott did not admit to wrecking him on purpose, but you look at the data, and that is how NASCAR says, we know you did this on purpose, therefore you're getting suspended for a week. We can prove that you did this on purpose.
Yep.
Therefore, you don't have to admit that you did it. They caught you with your data that you intentionally right hooked this guy, or right rear hooked this guy. So, should they not fine Chase Elliott $50,000 for altering the outcome of an event?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just because you did one incident, you can have more than one penalty. Like we're seeing. I think Bubba should have gotten more penalties than what he did just by laying his hands on a track official. The altercation, possibly. I don't really, I'm fine with letting drivers duke it out. That don't really require a penalty in my mind. You're laying a hand on a track official, that should call for a severe penalty. Mm-hmm. probably like a 2-week.
Right. I mean, that's the same as putting your hands on a police officer in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're out there doing their job, trying to keep everyone safe. Same as our police departments around the United States. I mean, they're out there donating. Well, I mean, they're getting paid, but they're out there on their own time doing a job that not many people want to do. And these NASCAR officials are the same way. I mean, that's their job, but they're there to keep the drivers and the fans safe.
Right. So I think NASCAR kind of missed the boat just a little bit there as far as not fining him for that, because the precedent they've set the precedent with it. If you wreck somebody on purpose, and we can prove it, like they could in this case, and that goes back to, for me, it goes back to that's why they penalized him, because they could prove that he did it on purpose. So I think he needs that $50,000 penalty, and moving forward with a right rear hook, that's as severe as it gets as far as wrecking someone.
On those new gen cars, that's the worst thing you can do to somebody in their car is right rear hook them.
I mean, it's
immediate danger.
Right, you have the potential to really hurt someone or worse.
Right.
And we don't need that. We don't need that in the sport. And I'll say it. It don't matter who does it. I'm a Kyle Larson fan, but if he does it,
hold him to it.
You got to hold his feet to the fire, and so they get it right. And so I applaud Hamlin in his post-race interview, and his he even tweeted out like the day later. He tweeted the SMT data from Chase Elliott's car to prove that he did it on purpose. So, and I applaud that, because that's what they did to his driver a year ago. So let's keep it fair. Let's keep it straight and down the line. Let's prove that we're going to do the right thing.
And these guys are, social media stars. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these drivers are. They got a huge following.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure they get just as much, if not more, haters than they do fans through social media. People running, keyboard warriors, little bitches sitting behind their computer running their mouth like they're something. So I don't blame Denny Hamlin for posting that stuff, because the proof is right here. You know what I'm saying? So stand your ground, stand up for what's right, and just like you said, I don't care if it's one of your favorites or somebody you can't stand. You got to be honest. You got to look at it from a honest perspective.
Right. You got to keep it fair and even down the line, no matter.
And when I said I wasn't done with Chase Elliott either, it's not so much Chase Elliott, but this Hendrick farm is out of control to me. And I'm not saying that because of what happened with Chase Elliott, but you've got Chase.
Are you talking drivers, crew, owners? You talking fans? What are you talking?
No, I'm talking team. And okay. I say that because the only ones we get any voice from is really the drivers.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with Rick and Jeff and their corporation, but you've got 4 outstanding drivers, 4 outstanding pit crew teams, 4 outstanding crew chiefs, and 2 Hall of Fame owners. So what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? We got Chase going out after his snowboard incident and getting hurt, breaking a leg. You got Alex Bowman going out the week that Chase came back with a sprint car injury. And he did come on the radio a week or 2 ago saying, my sprint car, I can't remember how he said it, but basically I'm done running sprints.
Yeah. And he's done for a while, I believe.
Right.
I heard that.
And now you've got guys that always seem to manage to keep their cool, losing their cool. And I'm not faulting Chase for losing his temper, because just like we've said before, going that fast in real time, I've done things that I'm not proud of in the heat of a moment when a split second decision made me look bad.
Right.
I don't want to be remembered for the few bad things I've done in my life. I want to be remembered for the good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking at Chase or Alex Bowman in a negative light, but it seemed like up till this year that Hendricks farm ran outstanding. You've got, I mean, in my eyes right now, William Byron is the all-star at Hendricks.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson's number 2. Josh Berry's number 3.
Right.
Chase Elliott's number 4. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And Alex Bowman's number 5. Now, it's I think if I was Rick and Jeff, or either one, I would be pulling my teams together with, and I said this about Smoke earlier. You know, over this one incident with Briscoe's illegal part or whatever you want to call it, that he's been fined for. You know, so I hold my idol to the fire over this as well. You know, I mean, I feel like he needs to go up in that garage and make an example out of somebody. But so I'm definitely going to say that over Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon. I think them two guys. There needs to be a come to Jesus meeting in that garage right now.
Yeah.
You know, and say, you know, this is our money, boys. We pay you to do a job. You're not doing this no more. You're not doing this no more. You're not doing this. William Byron, keep doing what you're doing because you're the only one keeping our head above the water.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I mean, there comes a time like that in business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, playtime's over, fellas.
Yeah.
Let's get our shit together. Let's go out here and start winning races. And
yeah, because I mean, these drivers are getting paid a lot of money to do the right thing.
Yeah, they are. And there's people out there, even in the Xfinity series. There's people out there in the camping truck series. There's people out there on the local dirt track circuits. There's people out there on the sprint cups that their dream is to make it to the level of Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Kevin Harvick's. You know, these guys have those dreams. That's why they're out there doing what they do, because they love to race. And it's a slap in the face to those guys when you got people up here at this level not taking it serious. And it even bothers me seeing people at this level not take it serious, because there are so many people out there with this dream of saying, give me one shot. Let me in a car. Let me in a car one day. Mm-hmm. You pick the track. Let me in the car.
Right.
And I'll show you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Rick and Jeff need to have this come to Jesus meeting with their whole team. All 4 of those car teams. Yeah.
I agree with that. And I think that's why Rick had the he kind of had the attitude of, my drivers are not going to go out and do something stupid during the week, like snowboarding or racing other cars that's going to get them hurt. It's going to affect my bottom line, my business.
Right, but how do you let Kyle Larson do it, not Alex Bowman?
Well, that's why they're doing it now, because he had to let Kyle Larson do it, or Kyle Larson wasn't coming to the team. Right. Because Kyle Larson had other teams that would sign him in a minute. I mean,
Tony Stewart was the first one that went after him.
Tony Stewart was his biggest cheerleader coming back.
He's been very vocal about it, and Gene Haas said absolutely not. You know, I wish Tony would have won that war.
I think Ford is the one that said no.
It was Gene Haas.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Because I was under the impression it was Ford that said no, because
it was Gene Haas that said
the reason that he got suspended from Ganassi.
It was Tony trying to pull Kyle in. It was Gene Haas that said no, and reason 4 was for that reason of Ford, and we're not going to be able to get anybody to sponsor him because of what happened.
Yeah.
Now, Rick Hendrick, he had the money and the availability to put Hendricks.com on Kyle Larson's car, so he basically sponsored him, and now, you know, when he comes out of being kicked out of NASCAR and he wins 5-6 races, now everybody wants their shit on his car.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that's all Rick had to do was let him get out there and do what he knew what all of them knew he could do. Tony, Rick, Jeff, all of them go out there and win some races. Now everybody wants their name on his car.
Right.
So Tony seen the big picture, But I get Gene Haas's side of it too. You got to be. I mean, this is such a day and age where you have to be so politically correct, and everybody's so goddamn sensitive.
Yeah.
That you've got to walk on eggshells like that, unfortunately, and
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Larson would be on the smoke team right now, and that'd be, to me, that just breaks my heart that he
got away.
Yeah, that he got away.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean, I'm still a Stuart Haas guy. I'm still Team Smoke, but people. That's a classic example of what I was saying earlier. Somebody being frowned upon for the few mistakes they made in life.
Yeah.
And being punished for it.
Yeah.
He lost his whole career.
Yeah.
Chip Ganassi let him go, and then NASCAR kicked him out of the sport.
Yeah.
And
all from one thing that happened in the heat of the moment.
Right, and he didn't even mean it racially.
Right.
You've got, I could name 6 to 10 rap stars out there right now that say that word on every one of their songs.
Twice a sentence.
Right, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay because of the color of their skin, which is reverse racism to me.
Right. I agree with that.
When, Kyle Larson said something jokingly, even Bubba Wallace came to his defense and said he didn't mean it like that. He's one of my closest friends. He is not racist.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that that's what the world's come to.
Right.
But going back to my original statement, Rick and Jeff need to get their arms around this thing real quick.
Yeah.
Or it's going to fall apart at the seams even more than it has.
It's like as soon as you let the gate open, the flood happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think he needs to go back to you cannot do anything extracurricular. I think it should be more of a you can do what you want to do, but let's be smart about it.
Well, I mean, here's what we do. Let's say I'm Rick and you're Jeff, because I can't be Jeff Gordon.
Right.
Okay. Just
so you give that one to me, huh? Okay.
I just can't take that.
Right.
So, I got all the respect in the world for Jeff Gordon, but it is what it is.
I'll do my best here.
Okay. So I'm going to tell these guys, here's your contract. Here is your salary. And you can choose to do whatever you want. But if you get injured, if you get hurt, and you cannot be in my car, and you cannot race, if the doctor can't say he can race the way he normally races, your salary is withheld.
For the year, for the race?
Until you can get back in a car. Until you can get a doctor's release from my doctors.
Yeah.
Until you can get back in the car, your salary is withheld. So if you want to take that chance now, it's affecting your wallet just like it's affecting my wallet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I would stand behind that. And that's what, to me, that's what all these team owners should do, because now you're putting the decision on the drivers that are out here making these decisions.
Let's make I'm Jeff Gordon, right?
Yeah.
So let's make this decision.
You got to talk in a little different voice.
Okay. So let's make this decision. So let's make this decision a little bit tougher for these drivers. Let's put some heat on them. I'm all for that. I'm all about let's put this decision on you. So
on the drivers, yeah.
Right. You're going to be able to go out and do whatever you want to do in life. No holds barred. You can do whatever you want. If you get hurt and you can't drive our car because we're going to pay you X amount of dollars for this race.
Well, your salary breaks down to a weekly check.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, that's basically what I'm getting at is you're getting this X amount of dollars for this week in this car. If you go out and do something stupid and you can't perform this week or next week, let's say it's, whatever.
8 weeks.
You can, no matter what the weeks are, you're going to pay us that amount.
Well,
you're going to pay us that amount. So if you do something stupid and you break your leg snowboarding and you're out for 4 weeks, you owe us those 4 weeks of payment that you would normally get. Because,
Well,
make it tougher for them. Make them really think about these actions that they're doing. I'm all for these drivers going out and doing what they want to do. You know, especially like the Larson
happens.
and you know,
right.
They're doing it in race cars like Bowman and Larson's out every week.
But here's the thing: is Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman aren't answering the calls from these sponsors when their car is finishing in 29th. You know what I'm saying? Now, Josh Berry did a great job on keeping those sponsors up front.
Outstanding job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm hearing that Josh Berry might be joining Stewart Haas next season.
Yep, I'm hearing the same thing.
I would not be disappointed at that. Yeah. So, but anyhow, going back, I had to pat my boys on the back there for a minute. So, going back to what we were talking about, and I don't even, as long as it was a minimum of, if you get injured off of a Monster Energy Cup track, you're not getting your contract pay. We'll put it in our bank. You know what I'm saying? Because they're still having to pay Josh Berry as a backup. You know what I'm saying? So not only are they still paying Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman their salary, their contract, they're having to pay Josh Berry to come in and drive this car.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's costing them more money.
Right, and that's why I'm saying you're going to pay us because
we've got to pay him.
Now, we have to pay another driver in your spot. So we're not giving you that money. You're going to pay that driver. And we like you said, we've got to answer these calls from these sponsors. We've got to smooth this over. So you're creating more work for us.
Now you're putting us at risk over losing that sponsor.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's for next year, they may have those sponsors may have signed a contract at the beginning of the season and said, "We'll do this for this year," and they're locked in because they signed that contract. But next year, who's going to be doing that work to get these sponsors back? It ain't going to be Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott.
Yes, and when them sponsors sign that, they're under the full expectation that Chase Elliott or Alex Bowman is going to be in that car every week.
Yeah, and they're going to see that car up front. It's going to get a lot of TV time.
Mm-hmm. And so when that's not happening, you know, that driver is now putting that team owner in a predicament that they have to talk themselves out of, you know, or smooth it over, I should say.
Well, they're paying an employee,
right?
Another one to smooth it over. You know, so I mean, this isn't just nickels and dimes. I mean, Rick and Jeff. I mean, all these team owners, even down to the Woods brothers, who's a one-car team, they've got a whole bunch of salaries to pay.
Yeah,
and that's we need to keep all these teams and team owners in this sport because it makes it better the more we get in here.
Yeah, and because back in the day, and I'm looking back in the 90s when NASCAR was at its just ridiculously growth period and money was just pouring in hand over fist, it wasn't a big deal to lose a sponsor because you could always find another sponsor tomorrow.
There was a waiting line for
I mean, sponsors
was to get on cars.
No issue. Now, these days, it's not that way. Sponsorship is a tough thing to find. Just ask Joe Gibbs, apparently.
Not only that, but you got people out there, just like the Kyle Larson incident, that because this world's became so sensitive, there's people out there that would love to have the recognition of being on Kyle Larson's car, but they never will be because of something he said 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. I agree with that. And the last point I'm going to touch on this Chase Elliott thing is moving forward. I know we've talked about this in one episode in the past. I don't know which one, but a second offense to this right rear hooking. So let's say somebody like Bubba that has been suspended for it once. Now Chase Elliott's been suspended for it. What happens if that driver does it a second time? My opinion. I'm going to throw mine out there first.
The punishment's supposed to increase every time.
It should, and I think the car should be parked for the second offense.
Right.
Let's say Chase Elliott goes out there. He's not going to do it this week, obviously, but let's say next week he gets mad and he right rear hooks somebody, which would be his second offense. I think the 9 cars should be parked for one race. That way it puts pressure on the team owner. So, like I said, every driver is capable of making that one split-second bad decision, and that shouldn't be held over their heads forever. You make it a second time, now we start getting serious. So let's park the car. Let's put some punishment on that team owner. Now, you think that 9 car not being on the track 1 week is going to affect Rick Hendrick's bottom line? You're damn right it's going to.
Yeah, it is.
And that's going to put pressure on Rick to straighten out Chase Elliott. Or whatever driver. Or, I'm just using them two as an example, but that's going to force Rick Hendrick's hand. Because right now he's putting in Corey LaJoie as a backup driver. And we'll get to that in just a second.
Corey shouldn't even be a backup driver. He's talented enough to be
right. Well, he's got his own full-time ride, but we'll get to that in just a second. But he is able to put the 9 car on the track.
Yeah.
And that in itself is going to make him some money. So if, let's say, a Chase Elliott does this a second time, that's going to really start to hinder Rick Hendrick's pocketbook. Not only paying the fines for Chase Elliott if he has to, but just not having that car on the track is going to lose him a lot of money. And I think that's NASCAR, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, I think that's going to be a very big deterrent to make them crew chiefs say, this happens again, you're gone.
Right.
Because we will not have it, and now we're parking the car because of it. That car will not be parked. It's much easier to get you out and put somebody else in.
I mean, here's my thing: is if you do this a number of times, and I don't care if it's two times, 3 times, or 12 times. Yeah. You do, every time you rear hook somebody in one of these cars, you're putting their life in danger.
Yes.
Period. There's no two ways about it.
Mm-hmm.
If not their life, you're putting their career in danger. Now, I'm not about saying the N-word or nothing like that, but how is it okay to take a guy's career away for saying a word, a derogatory word, shouldn't have been said, period. Right. Mm-hmm. But you take a guy's career away, you take his family's well-being away, but putting someone's life in danger every time you perform this one move of a right rear hook, how is it fair that you let him continue driving on this circuit with 37, 38 other people? When they go out there, all they're worried about is hope driver A don't screw me this week or hurt me this week. You know what I'm saying? So there has to come a point. To me, risking someone's life or injury or their career and their family's well-being is a lot worse and should be a lot more criticized than somebody making a mistake and saying a word.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Hopefully that's the last right rear hook that we see. Unfortunately, I don't think it will be.
No, and hopefully it's the last intentional one we see, because accidents happen.
Accidents happen, and and there's a reason there's a cage in these cars.
That SMT data shows when it was on purpose or not. So, I mean, that's going to benefit drivers saying, "Hey, that was an accident. I could not control my car."
Yes,
and that will prove people innocent that are innocent,
right?
Not just the guilty.
Yep. I think that's all I've got on the Chase thing. I just wanted to call out the hypocrisy of these fans that were
absolutely
wanting to just
chasing
Bubba with the pitchforks over lying in an interview. That's just ridiculous.
That's in every sport, but
yeah,
it unfortunately I feel like it's more to do with skin color than anything else in this situation, and hopefully NASCAR fans can get past that soon.
Hopefully. So. But I applaud NASCAR for, it doesn't seem like it would be, but it is a ballsy move to suspend your most popular driver. But at the same time, your most popular driver is very much...
He made a mistake that the most unpopular driver made.
Yes. So they're right there in the same shoes, and they should get the same punishment.
Applaud NASCAR for that.
And I also applaud Denny Hamlin for holding their feet to the fire and forcing their hand, basically.
Right.
Because I think he's seen that coming, that if NASCAR can get out of suspending Chase Elliott, they're going to. And he kind of forced their hand to say, you're not going to do this. Yeah. You're not going to do this to my driver, but not do that to him, which also put my life in danger. So, but that's all I got to say about that.
All right, so we go to worldwide.
Hold on here. One last thing. The benefit of all this that just happened is Corey LaJoie is getting to ride in that 9 car for a week. What do you think he's going to do with that?
I think for those that don't know that name, we'll know that name at the end of this race.
Yeah. I really hope he does really good.
I do too.
I mean, I never was a big Corey LaJoie fan until these past couple of years. I've been able to actually watch him work that car, and it was always kind of a running joke before. It's like, oh crap, my guy is right there around Corey LaJoie. Get the hell away from that guy because you're gonna wreck,
well,
But
a handful, well, I won't even say a handful, but a couple of these drivers really stood out once they evened the cars out. Mm-hmm. And Corey is at the front of that line. Everybody just knew Corey LaJoie as this guy that normally ran from 30 on back.
Right.
And now that they evened up the cars, he's a top 10 driver.
Yeah.
Especially on super speedways. I mean, he's a top 5 driver there.
Yeah, he's showing his skill, and I'm glad he's getting that opportunity.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
hope that he doesn't get too comfortable in the car, and because this is a step up from where he's been. I'm not throwing no shade at Spire Motorsports at all, because they're doing the best with what they've got. But you're going from, let's say, maybe a mid-level team to a upper echelon team. That equipment is going to feel so much more smoother, so much more easier to drive, maybe. And I hope that he doesn't get too comfortable and maybe drive over his head, maybe, and get into an accident before he can show what he can do.
But you even got to look at things on the other side of the wall, too. Like, does Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, are their pit crew team members paid 20% more than Spire Motorsports?
Could be.
You know what I'm saying? And they probably are. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I would assume they are, because they're going to get the best of the best for these teams. Yeah, your cars are even now, but when you can get out of the pits a second and a half faster, that's a huge gain.
It's a huge advantage, especially these days when the cars are so even.
And these pit teams, I would assume, pay more for, hey, Chad, if you come to be the jack man at Hendrick Motorsports or Stewart Haas, you'll make $150,000 a year. Whereas if you're on Wood Brothers or Spire or JTG or something like that, you'll make $80,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? But because they want the best of the best, and that's just how the corporate world works.
Right.
So if Corey LaJoie goes from getting out of the pits, he goes from getting out in 12 seconds to 10 and a half seconds or 10 seconds. That's going to make Corey LaJoie look even better when he gets out there on that track.
Right.
So it's not just being in a 9 car. It's having everything that comes with a 9 car. You know what I'm saying? That could spoil somebody. So
that is true. But I hope he does pretty good. I hope he takes advantage of this opportunity that he has. And it kind of gives him a glimpse into what these other teams are doing, and maybe he can pick up a little bit of information that he can take back to his team and say, hey, this is how we can improve, and maybe it might help them make a step or two to the good, and might be able to benefit him more later this year or next year or whatever, however long he's at Spire. Who knows? But
I mean, who's to say that Corey LaJoie's not up for contract negotiations at the end of this season? You know what I mean? And we got Kevin Harvick,
Almirola.
We got
Truex is possible.
Right. We've got a number of guys that are on their way out.
Yeah.
So these doors are opening up.
There's some seats to fill.
Exactly.
But hopefully he can make the best of this opportunity and maybe learn a few things, maybe get some insights on what these other teams are doing, these top teams are doing. So that's all I've got about that. Let's go to Worldwide Tech. As you can see at the top of the board there, Ford moves up with a 2 on the wins this year. They're climbing fast. They're climbing fast.
It's a big. They just doubled it 1 week. I mean,
Right.
how much faster
That's
can you
100% improvement.
But no, I was big pat on the back to Ryan Blaney for that. Worldwide, I think anybody could take that this week. I mean, it could be any one of the three manufacturers out there. This could happen for. They've had one race last season, was their first Monster Cup race there, and Joe Logano walked away with the checkered flag there. But I'd be impressed to see Ford do it again this week. But in all honesty, this is the kind of track that Ford, Chevy, or Toyota could win.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. The only thing that I really remember about Worldwide Tech is that this is where I believe Chastain and Hamlin started their whole thing from last year.
Hell, I didn't even remember it was somewhat of an oval.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was a road course.
Yeah.
But I was wrong.
Well, I had to look it up. Because there was some confusion there, but I thought it was an oval, but I wasn't sure the specs on it. And
Well, it's not really an oval either. It's kind of a teardrop shaped. One end of the track is a lot narrower, I guess.
It's kind of like a Darlington shape, where I think 1 and 2 is.
It's kind of.
Yeah, I think 3 and 4 is a wider turn than 1 and 2. It's more of a sharper.
Right.
More.
It's a shorter curve.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I'd call it an egg shape. But
it's kind of like Martinsville on one end and Kentucky Motor Speedway on the other.
Yeah.
It's not much banking.
Right.
On that end, like Kentucky was. And
who do you think is your favorite to win this? Not going fantasy. I'm talking just as a fan, from what you've been seeing, who do you think has the shot to win?
This is a track to me that is cut out for Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. It's a cookie cutter, and even Kyle Larson. I mean, those three could go out there and win this race with no issue. But I'm going to tell you something too. Watch two drivers, Brad Keselowski and Ty Gibbs. I think they're sleepers. Nobody. I don't think anybody. Well, somebody may have picked Brad this week in the fantasy, but we're not going by that. But Brad has impressed me. Chris Buescher's impressed me, but Ty Gibbs has impressed me. And this track is one of them that on the whole circuit that I can say I don't know who's going to win it. It's Denny Hamlin, it's Kyle Busch, it's Kevin Harvick, it's not Chase Elliott. I can say he ain't going to win it. But as far as who could win it, there's a number of people, but I'll tell you the two sleepers I have are Brad Keselowski and Ty Gibbs.
Well, yeah.
Even Reddick.
I agree with that because
Reddick could win this thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking along the same lines as you. My favorite to win is the favorite at just about every track is Larson, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney. Watch out for him. He's riding some momentum.
He's got that monkey off his back, like I said earlier.
Got that monkey off the back. He's riding the momentum. I think he could do very well, if not win this thing. I was going to say who's your dark horse, but you just answered that.
Yeah, I got two of them.
I was thinking Ty Gibbs was my dark horse. Watch out for, like you said, Tyler Reddick.
Watch out for Corey LaJoie.
Yeah, I'm watching him just to see what he can do. I don't expect him to win. I would love to see the guy finish top 10.
Right. I know it's not a super speedway, but he's going to be with a whole new team.
Yeah.
And that's a big step. It's a... We'll see.
Yeah. I was looking up here to see if anybody picked Keselowski, and I had a
one
text.
person did, I think.
I had a text from HR. He said the HR has been listening to the podcast and has a lot to say. So I expect him to be listening to the podcast, and I know he's going to have a lot to say because
he's never without words.
No, he never is. Hold on here. Let's see. I'm pulling up these picks. I can't see like I used to could because I'm getting old, but Yep. We got one person pick Keselowski.
I think Tony.
Yep, it was Tony. Tony picked him. So we'll see what happens with that. Very well could win the race. I went. So we'll go ahead and get into this fantasy stuff. I went with. Who did I pick? I picked Eric Almirola.
He finished top 10 there last year.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a new track. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really want to burn one of my
studs,
top drivers. Right. Yeah, not yet anyway. So
well, but like
I almost picked Ty Gibbs. I almost picked him.
Did you?
Yeah,
I did too. Now,
and I was like, I'd be the first one in this whole league that picks Ty Gibbs, but I'm gonna save that for another time. I almost picked Alex Bowman too.
Yeah. Now, your wife Jess, she picked Alex Bowman. She took a chance there. So, but going back to our conversation probably 3 minutes ago, anybody could win this track. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough data off of it yet in the Monster Series to know who can pull this off. But there's so many drivers that are talented at tracks like this. It's a one trick pony. This is the only track like this on the whole circuit. It's not your normal mile and a half oval or circle or whatever you want to call it. It's a teardrop shaped track.
Right. I think
who can work at clutch.
Yeah, I think.
And I took Dinger for that reason.
Yeah.
One thing, it was a road course. Two, he can work the shit out of that clutch. That's what he's good at. That's his wheelhouse.
Right.
He's good at Martinsville. So he got 10th there last year.
Yeah, and I also think that Logano is probably got to be one of the favorites since he won last year. Him and his team have kind of figured something out.
Or did they save that car to bring back? Who knows?
Who knows?
So, but Penske shares that information too. So that, to me, that takes even more weight off Ryan Blaney's shoulders, and hell, even Austin Cindric. That's a guy we haven't mentioned hardly at all this year.
Right.
And he's in that number 2 forward with Penske that Keselowski used to drive. We know he's got a good car and a good team. Is this something he could pull off?
You never know. He impresses me sometimes. You know. I didn't think we'd see a lot from him, but right out of the gate last year, we seen the Daytona win, and then he can creep up there in some of these races. You don't expect him to do very good. Next thing you know, he's right there flirting with 5th, 6th, 7th spot.
And you can sit here and debate all day on who's got the best chance, who could be your dark horse, who could do this, who could do that, but we don't know what kind of strategies these teams have going into races like this.
Right.
So is it, we're stage racing, so are we going to have people in stage 2 pitting early so they can stay out at the end of stage 2 and get that front position for stage 3 and hope there's a wreck or a caution for some reason? There's a lot of things that you could throw into a track like this.
Yeah. And
something like this may come down to strategy.
Yeah. I just got a text back here from HR. I want to share that with everybody real quick while we're here talking. And he said he wanted to thank us for letting the world know that he was a Bubba Wallace fan.
Well, we got to support our listeners,
Yeah, he wasn't able to get that out there to the world, but we were able to do that for him, and well, he says thanks, and I appreciate that, and you're more than welcome.
Anytime somebody on our team, like our HR, makes a request, we try to fulfill that,
every time.
So, if anybody out there has got a number 23 flag or a Dr. Pepper flag, something like that, get a hold of one of us and we'll try to get it over to Scotty at HR, and he can fly it proudly from.
Oh, he does
everywhere he goes, So
yeah, he's.
he's got all the cardboard cutouts. He's
got the jackets. He's got the stickers. It's crazy the collection that this guy has for Bubba Wallace.
Right.
So,
I know he don't have a flag, so.
He does need a full-size flag that he can fly on his flagpole there.
Well, even something to put on his Polaris side by side, so
one of them little window flags,
right? Something like that, So even when they're cruising and driving around and having fun, he fly that flag that he loves that much.
He's proud of it, and we're happy for him. So he's able to do that. But let's talk about this fantasy league here. We're going to worldwide. Obviously, last week with Charlotte, points were close going into Charlotte, and there's still some pockets of positions there that are pretty close. The bottom hasn't changed except for one, and I'm going to tell this story. Earl is now in 21st spot after picking Jimmy Johnson at Charlotte. And I'm going to tell on you here, Earl, because I work with Earl.
Right.
And
I don't know Earl.
Right.
But I know he's got a good sense of humor. So have you found out if he picked Kyle Busch
for this week?
Or did his wife?
No, I haven't found out.
No, this past week at Charlotte, he took Kyle Busch.
No, he took Jimmy Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he took Jimmy Johnson.
But who picked Jimmy? Him or his wife?
I think that was him.
Was it? Well, I know his wife usually picks pretty well.
Yeah, and you can tell who's picking, whether it's Earl or his wife Sonia. Because if they finish in the top 5, it was Sonia.
Right.
If they finish outside of that, it was probably Earl.
If they finish in the bottom 5, it was Earl.
Yeah, if they finish in the last spot, it was Earl. And me and Earl talked earlier this year about Jimmy Johnson coming back and where and if we might pick him, and we both said Charlotte would be the place to pick him because that's Jimmy Johnson's track.
Well, I mean, in a way it is, but to me Dover is his track.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wish he would have raced Dover because I would have used him at Dover, but I was not going to pick him at Charlotte.
Well, I was tore. I almost did pick him at Charlotte just because it's Jimmy Johnson, it's Charlotte. And he's always had.
I don't think he's
had pretty good results there.
But
not since Chad Knaus.
Exactly. It's your team around you. It's not just that driver.
Right.
And on a shorter concrete track, he dominated. I mean, what did he have, like 6 wins at Charlotte? I mean, it was crazy.
He had quite a few.
He had Chad Knaus and Hendricks around him. Legacy's obviously got some things to work on, and that's what Jimmy's doing at Legacy. That's why they brought him in.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't take a bit of nothing away from that team from saying, well, I knew Jimmy wasn't going to finish well at Charlotte because he's the driver that can win Charlotte if he's in the right car with the right team around him. He's made that very obvious. Now, going back to these fantasy standings, Mom.
Oh, watch out for Lou.
Lou was down there in 25th.
She is on a tear.
She just passed me. I dropped 3 spots on a Chase Briscoe pick, and I ain't taking that personal because me and Chase are boys,
Right.
But it's I dropped to 10th. Mom's in 8th right now, Lou, and she's on a comeback.
And like you said, she was 25th.
She was in 25th, and she's up to 8th in like 4 races.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're at the top of this league, Joe T, Hunter, Sam, some of you guys up there in the top 3, you better watch out for Mama Lou.
Yeah.
She is coming after you.
It's like somebody said her middle name.
Yeah.
And she's pissed,
Right. I know she texted me and said she told me a few things when she was at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
I invited Mom to come onto the podcast.
Oh yeah? I would like that. That would be
but
nice.
She said no. She said I can't do that.
Why?
I don't know. It's I don't know if it's more of.
I would like to get her opinion on a few things.
I would too. And she's never held her opinion back from me.
No.
You've seen that.
She still yells at me for the reindeer incident at Christmas.
Right. I mean, I put Mom in the torture rack when I was like 11 years old, and I still hear about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's,
how did she get out of that? Did you just
she did.
Did you just let her down? Did she give you a fish hook or anything?
Oh, it didn't turn out too good for me. I bet. Never turned out like it did for Lex Luger. You know what I'm saying? But,
right.
But I still did it. I was a big 11-year-old. Now, my mom, she's a smaller lady.
But she'll still stand up to anybody.
Oh hell. It's
I fear Mama Lou. I fear Mama Lou just because of the potential that she has.
Right. I mean, look at the 5 she created.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
5 perfect angels, right? And that's what
yeah.
she's gonna say.
Right.
I know.
No, she ain't gonna say that.
Are you sure? Well,
Yeah.
she
But I
created
think,
1 perfect angel and
yeah,
4 hellions.
maybe 2 angels and
Yeah,
3
2.
aliens.
That's what I was gonna say. 2
Yeah.
angels and 3 hellions.
But
That's more fitting.
but Mom's always honest. So I mean,
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe that's why she's not interested in coming on here because she'd just be too honest. And there's nothing wrong with that.
You can't have too honest.
You and I.
Oh, we're as honest as it gets.
Right. So.
I mean, I'm sitting here calling out every Chase Elliott fan that's being a hypocrite.
Right. Maybe she
I'll
thinks
take the heat.
her hand would get sore from smacking me in the back of the head too many times during this podcast.
True. That's true.
So,
did she ever find out who did that on Christmas with the reindeer?
What are you talking about?
Well, I don't know. I remember. I'm going to tell the story real quick, just to get this out there. We were at her house playing cards, and this was a weekly thing. Everybody got out there, friends, family, all that stuff, and we had a house.
Never for money, though.
No. We wouldn't do that. But it was for pride only.
Right. It is Pride Month.
Yes. So we would get out there every week, and we'd play cards at Mama Lou's house. And there was one year, it was around Christmas time. She had the Christmas decorations, and I remember. I'm thinking back in my brain right now.
I remember what you're talking about.
And I remember she had
deer.
two deer that lit up, and I think their heads moved back and forth, whatever, And she had a couple of them out in the yard, out in the front yard, so everybody driving by could see them. And I went out for a break because I had got put out of the card game, and I was outside talking to people, and I went back in, for a little while, seeing what was going on. And I went back out, and these 2 deer were in a compromised position.
Facing the same direction.
Facing the same direction. One was mounted on top of the other,
right.
and
I always hear that you're supposed to mount deer.
Yeah.
When you see my living room, you'll see record-breaking deer right there.
Guarantee it. So I thought, look at them deer. Yeah, they're getting silly, whatever. But I didn't pay no mind to it. And then Mama Lou comes out, and boy, she was mad as hell.
She's raising all kinds of hell, was she? But people were driving by honking, You got 2 robotic deer out here in the front lawn getting it on.
And it was completely dark because she's out in the country, completely dark. So all you see is these lit up deer just going at it. And she's wanting to know who did that to the deer, and I didn't know what she's talking about. I seen it, but I didn't. Of course, I didn't have no part of that. You know, I don't know who did. To this day, it's one of the biggest mysteries of our county.
Right.
And
I think the giveaway probably even wrote an article
think they did
about
a story
who
about
did this.
But that's the story on the deer that I still get asked about from time to time to this day.
I think it might have been HR.
That would not surprise me a bit.
I don't know,
he's greasy sometimes.
I was out there and I seen it. I seen.
I think half the county's seen it.
Well, I mean, but I seen who was responsible.
Oh,
but I'll never admit it.
I got you.
So it could have been.
It could have been anybody.
Scotty.
It could have been the neighbor. Who knows?
You never know.
You never know.
I mean, it could have. There was like 20 people playing in this no money game.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So watch out for Lou.
It's kind of like a game of Clue. You know? I mean, who did it?
We never know. It's
know.
one of the world's biggest mysteries to this point.
It could have been Mom.
It could have been.
Could have been Lou. She could have went out there and done this and raised hell about it. I mean, what better cover than that?
Right. I mean, the potential there is endless.
Right. I still hear stories about people driving by, seeing them deer out there like that. Because oddly enough, the doe that was on the bottom, her head was going side to side like she was saying no.
Yeah.
And the buck's head was going up and down like it was saying yes. So I mean, it was.
Well, you'll have that.
Right. But regardless, it was all in good fun, and everybody found it funny, except Mom.
Except for Mama Lou, she was not happy about that. But yeah, watch out for her, boys, because she is moving up in this league. She's sitting 8th, and she's only
coming.
6 points behind HR Scotty.
Yep.
So Scotty better not be worried about me, because I'm in what am I, 11th place? Yeah, he better not worry about me. He needs to worry about Mama Lou.
Yep.
So.
Scott, he jumped up 2 places this week. I fell 3, which, I put a little faith in my boy.
Yeah. Well, you'll have that sometimes. Yeah. It's a gamble.
That's what this fantasy league is all about. Is you got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good.
And a lot of times you're throwing darts at the wall as far as who's going to do good and who's not. We talked about that last week. It's just.
But I will say, Mike R. is holding that 26th spot. He's holding it solid. Nobody's taking that away from him.
He was the first one in the 300 club.
He was the first one in the 200 club, I think.
Yes, he was. I think he was the first one to the 100 club, too, so he's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was going to talk about Earl. That got this whole thing started. Earl dropped down to 21st spot. He lost 6 spots. He was in 15th. He was doing pretty decent. He had one bad race, but he was before that he was doing pretty good. Now he had this by picking Jimmy Johnson. And when we were at work when they had started the race, and he called me. Well, Jimmy Johnson's out. Spun it, hit the wall by himself, blah, blah. I mean, he was going off. He was mad as hell. I'm done. I quit. Somebody else can have my spots. And
nobody's going to buy it from him.
He was taking it bad. No, not if you're in 21st spot. So you got to dig yourself out of the hole before somebody's going to take your spot from you. But I think Earl just needs to let Sonya pick for a little while, maybe the next 4 weeks or so.
4 or 5 at least.
Yeah, get yourself out of this predicament, Earl, and it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Don't take it too bad. Don't take it too hard.
No, Sam has creeped up to 3rd.
Sam's doing pretty damn good.
But Sam is very silent. Sam is silent. He lets everybody know who he's picking. He sends his pick in on the group chat and everything. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's not holding any punches. He's like, here's who I'm taking, boys. If you think you can get me, come get me.
Well, I'm not in that group chat. What day does he send that out on? Does he send it out on a Thursday? Or
most of the time on Wednesday or Thursday. But, I mean, it's, there's, because I do a lot of this by text message, so we got 26 people. There's 8 or 9 in 3 different groups. And, I've always asked, hey, if you don't want nobody to know who you want to pick, just text me directly, because everybody in the league's got my number. Text me one-on-one and tell me who you want, and I keep that a secret until things get posted on Thursday evening.
Yeah.
So, but Sam, he's not holding anything back at all. Sam was down towards the bottom 1/3 for a minute.
Yeah.
And last year he was back there about the whole season.
Yeah.
And just couldn't buy luck, you know what I mean? But here he is this year. He's coming out no holds barred. He's sending his pick to the whole group. And here he is in 3rd spot.
He's doing pretty good. He picked a winner last week.
Yeah,
he picked him and Joe T, 1st and 3rd place. Were the only ones to pick Blaney last week. So
I'll tell you what, Joe T said that Ryan Blaney will go back to back.
Really?
He's got him picked for worldwide too.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That's something to see, because I looked at the Vegas betting, and Blaney is one of the favorites. So that wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, we talked about that with the momentum, so it's very possible. Hunter, still in 2nd.
Yeah, he just texted me, actually.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Anything good?
Well, I'll let you look at the message, and you can tell I haven't even opened them. So, who did you take, fucker?
I don't like being second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The first text, 28 minutes ago, was, who did you take, fucker?
Yeah.
And the one 2 minutes behind that said, I don't like being in 2nd.
Hunter.
Get used to it, Hunter.
Yep.
2nd's as good as it can get right now.
I think Sam's coming for you, bud. And I know there's about 23 other people that are coming for you. So
yeah, Sam's got Hunter in his crosshairs right now.
Yeah. I think there's a few other people. Hunter better, I'm telling you, everybody, watch out for Mama Lou, because she's going to go to the top of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to stay there, but she's going to go to the top. So, and I know Scott. He's been watching them top three. He hasn't been.
Right.
He hasn't really been.
He's not.
He don't care
people
what's
around
happening. No.
Yeah.
He's only looking at top three.
Yeah.
So.
Now Joe T. I mean, how many races are we in this season? 9, maybe 10.
How many have we done?
Yeah.
No, we're at like 14.
Okay.
So
so 14.
Yeah.
And Joe T has only got 104 points.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty damn awesome.
That's averaging way less than, I don't know, 10th place. So.
Well, I mean,
I can't do the math on that.
That's like averaging 6 to 7 points a race.
Yeah. That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah. And Joe T's killing it. Hunter's not doing bad.
Hunter's doing exceptionally well.
Right. He just hates being out of first place.
Right.
But, I mean, he's a U of L fan, so, I mean, he needs to realize that
he's been getting his ass kicked for a while just for being a U of L fan.
Right. So, I mean, he should be glad he's not in 26.
Right. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. I focus on what's going on around me. I know I'm only 3 points. I'm only 3 points down from you. I'd like to see Earl get back up there just to get his confidence back and see what happens. So he needs to let Sonya pick for the next few weeks just to get back up there in contention. So Earl, if you're hearing that, you might want to do that. I'll tell you somebody else that I'm also surprised with is Jason A. He is in 7th spot. I think he picked a winner like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. That's pretty good. He's sitting in 7th spot, but he's only 3 spots away from Scotty there in HR. 6th spot. He fell 1 spot this past week, so that's not too bad. But Lou's only 3 points away from him, so we know the next victim of Mama Lou. I am only 3 points away from you. So that's my goal for the week. If I can pass you, I'll be good. Mofat, I'm also looking at you. I'm gonna pass Justin and Mofat in the same week. I'll feel pretty accomplished by doing that because I don't look to pass Mama Lou. I figure she's probably going to pick a winner or top 3. Let me see who she picked here. She picked the Ross Chastain. That's an interesting pick. He could do very well. Ross could do very well with this. I think he would have done pretty good last year had he not had the Hamlin incident that he had, slowed him down. Hamlin kind of held him up all the way through the race and just didn't really let him do what he needed to do. But Mama Lou picking Ross is a pretty good pick. Could be interesting to see what he does at this track.
Yeah.
So
if I will say, if she happens, I think Ross will do good at this track, but hopefully Mom don't take a bullet on this because she texted me and said, "Is this a road course?" And I said, "Yeah."
Uh-oh.
So.
Well, I think you might have tricked a few people with that.
Well, I might have, but it was without zero bad intentions.
Yeah.
It's just me not doing my homework. I was thinking it was a road course and it wasn't, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding because I took Almendinger. So right. I mean, it is what it is, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it may turn out good for her.
It could, like I said, Joe T, Sam picked the winner last week. Good luck to everybody this week. The picks will be posted on the website here anytime.
Did Scotty take Bubba this week, or?
I think he tried.
I can't remember.
No, he took.
I know it's his dude, but
yeah, if it was up to Scotty, he'd pick Bubba every week.
Right.
I think he took Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, he went with Bell, which that's not a bad pick.
No, a lot of people took. Well, I won't say a lot, but a handful of people took Bell this week.
Yeah. But it should be interesting. So we got a lot of movement. A lot of movement in the
I think this will be a good shake-up week. I think it will.
I'm going to make my own prediction here.
Yeah, let's see. I'm 4 for 4. Let's see what you can do.
Oh, I'm going to go 0 for 1, I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to make it anyway. I'm going to pass you and MoFat.
Okay. That's not bad. I mean, what is there between 175? So, yeah, I mean, there's 4 points separating the three of us.
I'd like to pass Mama Lou, but I'm not even looking at that yet. No, I'm not going to try that. No. She'll slap me
Baby
upside
steps.
the back of the head just like she will you. So
yeah. You got to walk before you can run, right?
Exactly. So I'm not getting too crazy with my prediction, but
well, and we got Sonoma coming up next week. So a lot of people, seems like even myself included, took a road course driver this week.
Right. These next 4 races are going to be interesting. You got Worldwide, which we've raced on once. We've got Sonoma, which is a road course. Nashville, which is newer to the schedule.
Yep.
And then we got Chicago Street, which is first year.
Nobody knows.
Exactly. So these next 4 races, I think is going to shake a lot up.
I've already got my Chicago Street driver.
Yeah. I think I might have mine too.
Yeah.
I'll write it down for you so you can. Hold on.
I'll just say mine.
Oh, you're getting ballsy, huh?
Yeah.
I wrote it down there.
Suarez is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
For the Chicago Street race.
That's what I was thinking. But Dinger might be a good one too. But we found in this past year that there's a lot of road course people. Reddick has emerged. Bell.
Briscoe's not bad.
Yeah, so Logano hasn't been too bad.
Hamlin.
Yeah, so there's so many guys that
Chastain
can step
Chase
into
Elliott,
that role.
Obvious.
Right. Larson's been doing pretty damn good on those.
Right, he's got to win there. Truex is never a count out on road courses. So I
think there's only a couple of drivers that I would say I wouldn't pick them, like Harvick.
Right.
Harvick's not really.
There's studs out there. Kyle Busch is good at road courses. Yeah. There's studs out there that I won't burn on a road course like Kevin Harvick. But
right.
But on that same thing, if we're going, here's my thing. Everybody knows. Anybody listens to this podcast week in and week out. I'm not a big fan of road courses. But if we're going to do 7 road courses in a year, let's make 2 of them on dirt.
Can you imagine?
Let's get some Dukes of Hazzard shit going on up in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How awesome would that be to have a dirt road course?
It'd be unprecedented.
I've seen every episode of the Dukes of Hazzard, and this would be that'd be a classic.
Well,
that'd be fantastic.
You think the world wouldn't tune into that?
They would have to.
You have to. Right?
If they can put your channels on golf, you know what I'm saying? What would you rather watch?
Right.
Some badasses in cars racing on a road course on dirt, or not?
Yeah, I know, right?
It'd be awesome.
I know what I'm going to watch.
Right, I know what I'm going to try to get into.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be very fun. That's all I've got for this week.
For them owners.
Oh, yeah, because...
But it'd be fun.
How many cars do you think would finish that race?
18.
You think so? I was thinking a lower number than that.
I would think half the field would. But could you imagine? It'd be bad for spectators around the track because there'd be so much dust flying and everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's part of the dirt racing experience. Right. If you don't have some dirt in your beer, what are we doing?
Right, exactly. But look at Hazard County, Georgia. For years, it was just a big dust storm because the General Lee was down there giving it hell, and Roscoe was right behind him.
Roscoe trying to be.
Right.
Yeah.
He was always trying to get them boys that were up to no good.
Right. They didn't mean no harm.
No.
But that's all I've got for this week. You got anything else?
I don't. I think I gave my opinion on about everything I could this week.
Well, I'm sure we'll probably be able to give some more opinions next week after Worldwide. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of drama come out of that somewhere, somehow, some way. I don't think we've had a week yet where we haven't had some drama come out of it. So we'll be back next week to give our opinion on all that. But until then, have a safe week.
Right in the face.
Right in the face.